Continuing from the previous episode 264. Chapter 1193, Zan Yi, Tian Lei Zi. After a month of unseething atmosphere, the vast and endless sea of people around the stadium gradually scattered along with the end of the pill gathering. Even though the people scattered, an excited atmosphere still hung around the city. The intensity of this pill gathering had far exceeded everyone's expectations. That act of turning the tide caused one's blood to boil with heat by just thinking about it. Night quietly encompassed this unusually lively city amid this noisiness. The well-lit city stood sentinel to the endless flow of people in the streets. The topic on everyone's mouth was related to the pill gathering. Most of the conversations were naturally about the young man called Xiao Yan, the champion of this pill gathering and the one who had created a miracle. This name, which appeared unfamiliar in the past, had been imprinted in the minds of everyone. Moreover, all of them also understood that this name would echo over the entire Central Plains very soon. At that time, he would become the most dazzling young man across the entire Central Plains region. While the entire city maintained its lively state, the many competitors appeared about to collapse after the 1 month of pill refinement, so they miserable fled to their own residences. After which, they slept like dead dogs. Xiao Yan was included among these people. A Tier 8 medicinal pill was not as easy to refine as he had imagined. Moreover, due to him having forcefully raised the spirituality of the medicinal pill, Xiao Yan had basically exhausted all of his spiritual strength. His exhaustion was quite terrifying, hence, he immediately returned to his room after the pill gathering was over. He shut his eyes and the night covered everything. The little fairy doctor and the rest clearly understood how tired Xiao Yan was. Hence, no one disturbed him. They allowed him to quietly sleep as much as he needed. By the time Xiao Yan woke up from his sleep, the sky had been covered by night. He could even vaguely hear conversations filled with laughter and excitement outside. For safety's sake, the residence of Xiao Yan's group had been shifted from the Yi Manor to the Pill Tower. Thus, they could prevent the people from the Hall of Souls from secretly performing any schemes. Xiao Yan sat up from his bed. He washed up a little before quickly walking out of the room. Before he had rested, he had received Zan Kongzi's reminder to head over after having rested. Creak. Xiao Yan pushed the door of his room opened, only to see quite a number of people seated in the large hall outside. The little fairy doctor, Tian Huo Zun Jie, Yi Zhang, and the others were present. You have finally woken up. The people from the Pill Tower have come to hurry us quite a number of times, but I stopped all of them. The little fairy doctor involuntarily smiled and informed Xiao Yan in a gentle manner after seeing him come out. Yes. Xiao Yan smiled and nodded. He said, I will make a trip over first. All of you should be careful. Xiao Yan did not stay for long after saying this. He chatted a little before he hurriedly left the room. After which, he rushed to the top of the Pill Tower. Xiao Yan met quite a number of alchemists along the way. These people hurriedly gave way when they saw Xiao Yan. There was even some respect in their eyes when they looked at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan had turned the tide during the pill gathering and preserved the dignity of the Pill Tower. This was equivalent to protecting their pride. Additionally, the alchemist level that Xiao Yan had displayed during the pill gathering was worthy of their respectful treatment. Although Xiao Yan was worthy of their treatment, Xiao Yan felt a little ill at ease when he receiving numerous respectful gazes no matter where he went. When other people treated one with respect, one needed to, at the very least, return a smile. Hence, the journey had resulted in Xiao Yan's face smiling to the point of nearly having cramps. In the end, Xiao Yan, who was finally unable to endure smiling any longer, increased his speed as he rushed to the top of the Pill Tower in front of everyone's stunned eyes. Who? Xiao Yan finally arrived outside a large hall at the top level 10 minutes later. He rubbed his face before gently knocking on the door. Enter. Xiao Yan's finger had just landed on the door when Zan Kongzi's faint laughter was emitted from behind it. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yan pushed open the door and entered. His gaze swept around, only to see quite a number of figures standing within the large hall. Cao Ying, Dan Chen, and Song Qing were all present. Moreover, there were 3 figures in the lead seats. The one in the middle was Zan Kongzi. On one side of him was that pretty woman and on the other was the dark-skinned elder Xiao Yan had seen on the tall stage. All the gazes in the hall gathered on Xiao Yan the moment he entered the hall. From a certain point of view, Xiao Yan, who had become the champion of the pill gathering, could be considered someone from the Pill Tower. Moreover, the position of a potential successor was not a low one. Even an ordinary elder would have to politely greet him should they meet him. "KK, our champion has arrived." Zhang Kongzi involuntarily smiled and teased upon seeing Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan let out a bitter laugh. He took a couple of steps forward and stood side by side with Cao Ying and the others. After which, he cupped his hands respectfully to Zhang Kongzi trio and greeted them. "I will make the introductions." Zhang Kongzi smiled. He pointed at the pretty woman by his side, who was using a gentle gaze to look at Xiao Yan. He said, "This is Association Head Zan Yi. KK. She has quite a deep relationship with your teacher. You can call her Aunt Zan." Xiao Yan was startled upon hearing Zhang Kongzi's words. He looked at the teasing smile on Zhang Kongzi's face, and the corner of his mouth involuntarily twitched. However, his eyes were stunned as he looked at the pretty woman. A deep relationship with teacher? Could this be that legendary teacher's wife? "You old fellow, what nonsense are you spouting?" That pretty woman, called Zan Yi, a faint redness involuntarily flew over her face under Xiao Yan's stunned eyes. She furiously glared at Zhang Kongzi before turning her eyes to Xiao Yan. Her voice was gentle as she said, "You are called Xiao Yan, right? That old fellow Yao Chen has really accepted a good disciple this time around." Upon seeing the way Zan Yi acted, Xiao Yan understood in his heart that she definitely had a relationship with teacher that most people were unaware of. He did not dare slight her. If it was really as he thought, he would need to kowtow and serve her tea. TL. Kowtow and serve tea is a form of respect from a disciple to a teacher. The teacher's wife generally also enjoys such a privilege. Xiao Yan greets Zan. "Aunt Zan." Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment before he suddenly saw the expression Zhang Kongzi was giving him. His words hurriedly changed, and he altered the form of address. Association head Zan Yi was startled upon hearing Xiao Yan's manner of address. A faint redness quickly surfaced on her face. The gaze she used to look at Xiao Yan had become even gentler. It was as though she was looking at her own younger generation. Xiao Yan quietly muttered, "Lucky," in his heart when he saw her eyes. Although he was unaware if teacher really did have any relationship with her, it was obvious that the other party had some feelings for Yao Lao. It appeared that teacher had left behind quite a number of emotional ties back then. "This is Association Head Tian Lei Zi." Zhang Kongzi's eyes turned to the dark-skinned elder with an unusually cold and stern face. Zhang Kongzi introduced him with a smile. "Xiao Yan from the younger generation greets Association Head Tian Lei Zi." Xiao Yan hurriedly gave a greeting once again upon hearing him be introduced. These three were peak existences on the continent. It was always right to be a little more respectful. "Yes, we really have to thank you for this pill gathering." The cold and stern face of Tian Lei Zi also became slightly gentle upon facing Xiao Yan. However, his voice still appeared low and deep, giving one an unusual feeling pressure. "Ha ha, there is no need to be afraid. This old fellow has been like this all his life." Zhang Kongzi by his side laughed. Xiao Yan nodded. "A master should have the demeanor of a master. Since everyone has gathered, I shall come back to the main topic." Zhang Kongzi's expression had become much more serious upon bringing up the topic of an important matter. He slowly said, "The star region will be opened the day after tomorrow. You will all enter it and try to subdue the 3,000 burning flame. The star region is a space that the three of us joined hands to create. Moreover, we added some powerful seals and hid it within the stars. The 3,000 burning flame is also sealed within it." Xiao Yan braced his attention when he heard about the information related to the 3,000 burning flame. He hurriedly listened. Due to the prolonged seal, the 3,000 burning flame has formed a great grudge against the pill tower, especially against the three of us. Should it escape the seal, it would definitely end up attempting to take revenge. Zhang Kongzi explained in a deep voice. "This time around, it would be fine if there is someone who can subdue the 3,000 burning flame. However, we are worried about someone not being able to subdue it and will instead want to release it to destroy Holy Pill City. The people association head is mentioning, are the members from the Hall of Souls?" Xiao Yan's eyes flickered as he softly inquired. "Aye." Zhang Kongzi slowly nodded. A dense, cold expression flashed across his eyes as he said, "The traces of that old Mu Gu have disappeared after the pill gathering ended. Even the three of us are unable to find him. Clearly, he is afraid of us secretly attacking and finding trouble with him. Therefore, he has purposefully hid himself. The relationship of the Hall of Souls and our pill tower has always been poor. If they have the opportunity to give us a blow, they will definitely not give it up. Moreover, old Mu Gu has come this time around. Therefore, they definitely have some sort of plan. The 3000 burning flame must also not land in the hands of the Hall of Souls. We are worried that they intend to quietly undo the seal of the 3000 burning flame. Zan Yi also knit her eyebrows and softly added, "The three of us must definitely maintain the seal of the star region when it is opened. Therefore, we will not be able to enter it. The reason why we have summoned all of you here is to get all of you to try your best to stop old Mu Gu after you have entered the star region. If he does anything not right, you should immediately shatter this bead. The experts from the pill tower will swiftly arrive to lend a hand." 4 jade beads rushed out after Zhang Kongzi's words sounded. After which, they remained suspended in front of Xiao Yan's group. Xiao Yan's group gently nodded after receiving the jade bead. From the looks of it, the fight for the 3000 burning flame this time around would be quite fierce. Not very many people are able to enter the star region at any one time. Otherwise, they will wake the slumbering 3000 burning flame. Therefore, all of you will have to be relied upon as the front lines this time around. Zhang Kongzi's expression was solemn as he looked at Xiao Yan's group while speaking in a deep voice. Xiao Yan slowly nodded. He needed to obtain the 3000 burning flame at any cost. If old Mu Gu wanted to stop him, he could only give him a ruthlessly fight back. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 265. Chapter 1194. Two opposing women. After discussing some matters regarding the opening of the star region with everyone gathered, Xiao Yan's group left the large hall. Xiao Yan did not remain for long after having left the large hall. He turned around and walked toward a path. However, his feet had just stepped forward when a graceful figure appeared in front of him accompanied by a fragrance. Xiao Yan was startled before he immediately laughed. "Why? Does Miss Cao Ying have some matters?" "Nothing. I am incidentally using the same path. Let's leave together." Cao Ying sweetly smiled. Her exquisite face revealed an alluring enchantment. This woman was just like a fox demon that could bring calamity to a country and its people. Her smiles and frowns were enough to cause a man to go crazy over her. Xiao Yan was stunned when he heard her invitation. Since when did this witch treat him so well? In the past, she earnestly wished for him to come into conflict with others while she stood by the side and watched the show. While Xiao Yan was pondering what was happening in his heart, the expression of Song Qing slightly worsened. Cao Ying's change had caused him to feel uneasy. He hurriedly came forward and laughed. "Ying, brother Xiao Yan always has many things to deal with. Coincidentally, the star region will be opened in 2 days. At that time, that old bastard old Mu Gu might launch a sneak attack again. If we train now, we might be able to guard against him when the time comes." "Yes, Brother Song words are quite." Xiao Yan hurriedly nodded upon hearing them. He kind of feared this witch Cao Ying. He did not wish to be toyed with by her since Song Qing had stepped forward. He would hurriedly push her to him. However, before Xiao Yan's words had finished, the enchanting smile on Cao Ying's face was withdrawn. She faintly declared, "There is no need. I do not wish to be left behind as a sacrifice again." Song Qing was somber when he heard Cao Ying's words. His expression had become unusually embarrassed. "Let's go." Cao Ying's pretty eyes turned to Xiao Yan. She violently looked at him. From her looks, it seemed that this witch would go crazy if Xiao Yan were to utter any more excuses. Xiao Yan helplessly shook his head. He threw a pitiful gaze to Song Qing. Although Song Qing's actions of leaving his companion behind at a critical moment were indeed shameless, the treatment that he had currently received was also quite pitiful. Xiao Yan quietly sighed in his heart. He could only turn around and walk to the stairs that led to the bottom of the pill tower. Only then did Cao Ying smile. After which, she closely followed behind him. Her crisp and soft laughter caused one to feel one's bones softening. Song Qing's expression was volatile as he watched the backs of these two people disappear into the distance. He violently clenched his teeth a moment later. His face was dark, solemn as he swung his sleeves and left. Xiao Yan and Cao Ying walked all the way down. She continued to softly inquire about unimportant matter. Her alluring manners of occasionally covering her mouth and laughing softly would cause some young alchemists to involuntarily halt their footsteps. Their eyes contained some envy when they looked at Xiao Yan. These envious gazes caused Xiao Yan to feel as though he was sitting on needles. This witch was unpredictable. No one knew just what she was thinking. Even Xiao Yan himself wasn't sure why she had suddenly become so gentle to him. Could it be because he had saved her life back in the pill realm? This short journey appeared just like a long march to Xiao Yan. He only let out a long sigh of relief when he was about to arrive at his residence after much difficulty. Xiao Yan stood in the corridor outside of the room. He was planning to open his mouth and say his goodbye when the door to the room suddenly opened with a creaking sound. Immediately, a white figure slowly stepped out. Surprise expression flashed across her ethereal eyes when she saw that Xiao Yan was together with Cao Ying. Little fairy doctor, Xiao Yan's heart felt a slight joy when he saw who had appeared. He hurriedly called out to her before swiftly walking forward. Cao Ying's eyes also paused on the little fairy doctor after she had appeared. Her picture-like eyebrows were gently lifted. Although the little fairy doctor's appearance was not as enchanting as Cao Ying's, it contained a gentleness that warmed one's heart, especially now that her woeful poison body was completely under control. The faint chillness that had existed between her brows in the past had quietly faded away. The current little fairy doctor was just like the girl Xiao Yan had seen in Qingshan town, possessing a graceful elegance like a fairy. If Cao Ying was described as a bewitching and alluring witch, the little fairy doctor was just like a fairy that had fallen into the mortal realm. The two women possessed two completely different demeanors. However, they were both enticing. The little fairy doctor's pretty eyes gently blinked when she saw Xiao Yan swiftly walking over. After seeing the expression in his eyes, the intelligent her understood everything within her heart. The corner of her mouth involuntarily revealed a warm smile. "Hello, Cao Ying. May I know how to address you?" An alluring smile hung on Cao Ying's face as she extended her long, narrow hand while introducing herself. "Little fairy doctor." The little fairy doctor gently held Cao Ying's hand. Her gentle tone was neither hurried nor impatient. "I have followed Xiao Yan back. You don't mind, do you?" Cao Ying smiled and withdrew her hand. Her pretty eyes glanced at Xiao Yan, but she spoke as though nothing had happened. "A mere idle chat between friends. What is there to mind?" The little fairy doctor softly laughed. The corner of her eyes involuntarily revealed a faint smile when she heard Cao Ying treating her as someone with a relationship with Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan by the side involuntarily rolled his eyes when he heard their responses. These two women might appear polite on the surface, but their words did not appear to be that calm. "There are still people waiting for him in the room. We shall not continue chatting here. If Miss Cao has time in the future, you can come more often to play." The little fairy doctor replied with a faint smile. However, her tone contained the intention of sending this guest off. Cao Ying's expression did not change upon hearing her words. She sweetly smiled and said, "Definitely." The little fairy doctor slightly smiled upon hearing her reply. She extended her hand and wrapped it around Xiao Yan's arm. After which, she pulled his somewhat stiff body along as they entered the room. The smile on Cao Ying's face was slowly withdrawn as she stared at the tightly shut door. A soft snort was emitted from her nostrils a moment later. She gently clenched her hand and a bewitching arc once again appeared on her face. "Xiao Yan, you will not be able to escape the hands of mine." Before Xiao Yan could say anything, the little fairy doctor swiftly withdrew her hand after entering the room. Xiao Yan could vaguely see a pair of bright red earlobes. He involuntarily laughed. "You actually dare to laugh? All you do is attract women." The little fairy doctor involuntarily chastised him because of embarrassed anger when she heard Xiao Yan laugh. "You want to manage the woman I attract?" Xiao Yan smiled as he playfully teased. The little fairy doctor's pretty face became slightly red upon hearing his teasing. She hurriedly found an excuse and replied, "Xuan Er asked me to watch over you before she left." Xiao Yan ignored the excuse she had thrown out of her mouth. The smile on his face became more playful. He, Xiao Yan, you dare to take liberties with little fairy doctor Jia, elder sister. I will definitely report this to Kai Lin Jia. When we left back then, she instructed me to kill you if I saw you being hooked by other women." A lovely laughter suddenly chimed across the room while Xiao Yan was secretly smiling. This caused Xiao Yan to leap from shock. He hurriedly turned around and saw the purple-clothed Zi Yan sitting at the window. Her legs were swinging back and forth. "Kill me?" Xiao Yan widened his mouth and felt somewhat speechless. This kind of thing was something Kai Lin specialized in. You girl, now you have also become so elusive. Xiao Yan helplessly shook his head. He sat in a chair and immediately asked, "That's right, where is Shangzan? Is he not with you? He has been settled outside of the pill tower. This is not a place he can enter." Ziyan swung her pale purple ponytail. Her small hand was extended and appeared in front of Xiao Yan. After which, she snatched the teacup from Xiao Yan's hand and gulped it down. Only then did she say in an elderly manner, "I have come here to lend you a hand." Xiao Yan and the little fairy doctor involuntarily laughed when they heard her words. This girl was really cute. What is this attitude of yours? Ziyan was a little dissatisfied upon hearing their laughter. She softly snorted, "Without my help, I guarantee that you will have no chance of getting the 3,000 burning flame." Rattle. The teacup Xiao Yan had just delivered to the corner of his mouth suddenly paused. His eyes swiftly turned to Ziyan. His expression was a lot more serious as he asked, "What do you mean? HMPH, do you really it will be so easy to subdue the 3,000 burning flame? Even the 3 great heads of the pill tower did not have the ability to. Do you intend to forcefully subdue it?" Ziyan curled her small mouth and said, "I know that the pill tower wants all of you to go and try your luck. Unfortunately, however, the 3,000 burning flame already possesses its own intelligence. It is not as easy to subdue as the fallen heart flame in the inner academy. What do you have in mind?" Xiao Yan had become a lot more grave. He was naturally aware that the 3,000 burning flame was far from what the fallen heart flame could compare with. However, things should be indeed the case when he thought about it. How lousy could the thing that caused even Zhang Kongzi's trio to treat seriously be? A proudness surged over Ziyan's small face when she saw that Xiao Yan had put down his pride to inquire. She patted her small chest and said, "I can tell you this. However, you must promise to refine a medicinal ingredient that you have obtained from Shangzan every day." Xiao Yan rolled his eyes upon hearing this. This greedy little fellow. All right, we will do as you say." He. Ziyan laughed. Only then did she stand up with satisfaction. She gently clenched her small hand and a purple-colored glow appeared. Immediately it wiggled and transformed into a half-a-foot-long purple dragon in front of Xiao Yan's and the little fairy doctor's eyes. This purple dragon's eyes were tightly shut. Her body lingered. Although it was only illusionary, it vaguely possessed an unusually terrifying dragon might that pervaded the room. "I heard little fairy doctor Jia mention that you entered the star region once. The 3,000 burning flame that you have seen should look like this, right?" Xiao Yan slowly nodded. This purple dragon was a complete miniature of the 3,000 burning flame, but why would Ziyan know what it looks like? Could it be? Xiao Yan's expression quickly changed when he thought of a certain possibility. "If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Continuing from the previous episode 266. Chapter 1195. Dragon Seal. Xiao Yan had made many guesses about Ziyan's actual body during these years, and he had gradually become aware of what she was. A magical beast that viewed heavenly demon phoenix as food. What other beast could it be other than the mysterious ancient void dragons of the magical beast world? Moreover, the ancient void dragons specialized in penetrating space itself. The supernatural powers that Ziyan would occasionally display were related to space. From the way she had suddenly entered the pill realm and randomly left it, it was possible to vaguely tell the identity of this girl. She should be an ancient void dragon. Xiao Yan had only heard a little about the mysterious existence called ancient void dragon. However, he had never personally seen one. Hence, he was not quite sure what their actual form looked like. However, Ziyan was currently hinting that the shape of the 3,000 burning flame was that of a dragon. Could it be? The 3,000 burning flame was related to the ancient void dragon? Ziyan randomly scattered the purple dragon in her hand when she saw Xiao Yan's expression of contemplation. She said, "This 3,000 burning dragon is extremely wild and uncontrollable. Forget about you. Even the 3 great heads of the pill tower do not possess the ability to forcefully tame it. Additionally, it already possesses high intelligence. Do you think that it is willing to be subdued by others?" Xiao Yan was silent. As long as the 3,000 burning flame really possessed an intelligence, it would definitely not allow others to randomly absorb it or control it at will. However, if it was unwilling, the only path left was force. However, This 3,000 burning flame was called an undying flame. It was impossible to completely destroy it. If they were to really get into an all-out fight, it was likely that even Zhang Kongzi's group could only withdraw. If one puts it this way, would not subduing the 3,000 burning flame be a joke? Xiao Yan asked with a frown. You can also put it this way. The three great heads of the Pill Tower have thought about the 3,000 burning flame in an overly simple manner. All they do is hope that someone is blessed enough to meet the eyes of the 3,000 burning flames. Kai, the other party possesses intelligence. Only a fool would follow you. Would you be willing to allow others to absorb you? Ziyan curled her small mouth and questioned. Xiao Yan slightly nodded. Ziyan's words might not be pleasing to the ears, but they were the truth. It seemed that subduing the 3,000 burning flame was not going to be as simple as he had imagined. After musing for a moment, Xiao Yan suddenly turned his eyes to Ziyan and inquired, "Since you have involved yourself in this matter, I think that you should have come up with some sort of solution, right?" Ziyan proudly revealed her two cute little eyes. After which, she shook her head and said, "Do you know why this 3,000 burning flame has taken the form of my clan?" No. Xiao Yan honestly shook his head. He was surprised and didn't know why the 3,000 burning flame would choose this form. "This is because the 3,000 burning flame was reared by my clan." Ziyan's soft voice shocked Xiao Yan until his teacup emitted a clang sound as it landed on the ground before shattering into pieces. "What did you say?" Xiao Yan suddenly turned to Ziyan and asked in disbelief. "This is some information that I learned after having returned to my clan this time around. I was unaware that had come to the Central Plains for this thing. That is why I paid some attention to it and obtained this information." Ziyan spread her hands and said, "A very long time ago, when the 3,000 burning flame was likely in its infant form, there was an ancestor in my clan that discovered it. However, the 3,000 burning flame at that time was too weak. Therefore, that ancestor left behind a dragon seal within the body of the 3,000 burning flame. This is why the 3,000 burning flame grew into a form similar to that of my clan." Xiao Yan's face was filled with shock. It was a long while later before he slowly sat back down in his chair. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva. After all this meddling, this 3,000 burning flame was something with an owner? If that ancestor is still alive, you can say that this 3,000 burning flame has an owner. Fortunately, based on the records of the clan, that ancestor completely lost contact during a spatial tour. After so many years, I don't even think his corpse still exists." Ziyan appeared to have understood what Xiao Yan was thinking when she saw his expression. She immediately laughed. "Who?" Xiao Yan's somewhat pale face gradually recovered its sleek redness when he heard her words. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. If someone were to tell him that the 3,000 burning flame had an owner at this point in time, after he had spent a great amount of effort, it was likely that Xiao Yan would become quite demented even with his calmness. You should be glad that the ancestor of mine left a dragon seal within the 3,000 burning flame back then. Otherwise, it is likely that you would not have any chance." Ziyan laughed. She clenched her small hand and a small jade bottle appeared in it. A deep golden blood was flowing within the jade bottle. There was an unusually powerful dragon's might vaguely spreading out of it. "This is?" Xiao Yan's eyes revealed a surprise as he softly asked. "The blood of an ancient dragon. Come, extend your hand out." Ziyan instructed. "What?" Xiao Yan asked doubtfully. However, he extended his hand just like he had been told. "I will plant this dragon seal on your hand." Ziyan carefully dripped a dark golden drop of blood from the jade bottle onto Xiao Yan's hand. It landed on his palm. After which, his hand suddenly changed. One could see a dark golden drop of blood spreading and forming a strange symbol that adhered to Xiao Yan's palm. "I can subdue the 3,000 burning flame with this?" Xiao Yan looked at the strange symbol in his hand and curiously inquired. "Dream on. Well, take this. Once you enter the star region, try to place that drop of blood on the forehead of the 3,000 burning flame. After which, the dragon seal that is hidden within its body will be activated." Ziyan swung her purple ponytail and added, "However, I advise you to wait until the 3,000 burning flame has been exhausted by those fellows before you do this. At that time, your chances of success will be much greater." "What if I fail?" Xiao Yan's sharp senses discovered something was not quite right. "Oh, if you fail." Ziyan suddenly extended her small tongue before saying, "This dragon seal works both ways. If you succeed, you will control it. If you fail, it will control you." Xiao Yan appeared to have been struck by lightning when he heard her words. The face of the little fairy doctor also changed slightly as she said in a deep voice, "Girl, what joke are you playing? You dare to take something that has such a serious consequence? You will never be able to subdue the 3,000 burning flame if you do not do this. That thing is called an undying flame. It isn't afraid of death. Don't tell me that you are going to compete with it in terms of lifespan?" Ziyan muttered. Xiao Yan involuntarily let out a bitter laugh when he saw Zhu Yan's wronged expression. He mused for a moment before receiving the small jade bottle and saying, "This is also a method. However, it cannot be easily used. You can rest assured that the dragon seal of yours is one that I secretly stole from a slumbering elder. It is extremely precious. In terms of dragon seal grades, it is definitely better than the one that Ancestor had placed back then. Therefore, your chances of success are far higher than the 3,000 burning flames chances as long as you grasp a good opportunity. The best is to use it when it has been seriously injured. You will definitely subdue it then." Ziyan's small face spoke in an incomparably serious manner. Xiao Yan involuntarily let out a bitter smile when he heard her words. This girl's boldness was greater than even the heavens. It was likely that the members of her clan had suffered from her torture during this period of time. "All right, I will trust you this time." Xiao Yan raised his head to look at the little fairy doctor's worried expression after having stored away the jade bottle. He involuntarily smiled and comforted, "Rest assured, nothing will go wrong. If anything really goes wrong, I will not use this thing. I know my limits." The little fairy doctor could only gently nod when she heard Xiao Yan put it this way. After which, her pretty eyes glared at Ziyan. An awkward smile surfaced on Ziyan's small face. Xiao Yan involuntarily smiled as well when he saw Ziyan's awkward smile. His finger gently rubbed his storage ring. However, his eyes were flowing through the endless starry sky through the window. Xiao Yan had traveled a great distance from the Black Corner region to the Central Plains for the 3,000 burning flame. After having worked hard for so many years, Xiao Yan needed to obtain it this time around. 2 days passed with the blink of an eye while a countless number of people waited. When the morning sunlight had just scattered down from the sky on the second day, Holy Pill City, having been somewhat quiet for 2 days, once again became lively. Countless numbers of people hurried to the location of the Pill Tower. Today, the top 10 of the Pill Gathering would enter the Star region and subdue the 3,000 burning flame. The hearts of these people were extremely curious about whether or not this 3,000 burning flame, that had been sealed by the Pill Tower for many years, could be subdued. The outside of the Pill Tower had been extremely noisy since early morning. Black masses of humans filled every single street. The sun in the sky gradually rose to its peak. Only then did 3 figures finally fly from the top of the Pill Tower. After which, they floated high in the sky. Those who are entering the Star region should prepare themselves. Zhang Kongzi remained suspended in the sky. He overlooked the area below from high above. A low and deep voice resounded over the city. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Zhang Kongzi's words had just sounded when numerous figures rushed over from all directions. They immediately paused in the sky. Looking at them, it was the people had entered the top 10. The eyes of Zhang Kongzi and the other association heads slowly swept over these 10 people. Finally, their eyes were cold as they paused on the cold smile of old Mu Gu. Old Mu Gu's face twitched in the face of the frosty focus of Zhang Kongzi's trio. However, he was not overly afraid. He knew that Zhang Kongzi did not dare do anything to him in public. Zhang Kongzi's trio exchanged looks with each other after having slowly withdrawn their eyes. Their hand seals began to change in a lightning-like manner. Vast and mighty spiritual ripples spread out from the bodies of the 3 of them. Immediately, everyone saw the empty sky suddenly fluctuate. After which, a faint silver spatial door appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The first elder will accompany all of you into the Star region during this trip. He will also explain to you the rules in detail. Zhang Kongzi glanced at the silver spatial door. His eyes suddenly became sharp and stern. Now, enter. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 267. Chapter 1196. Star Realm. 3,000 Burning Flame. Zhang Kongzi's words had just sounded when a white-robed figure slowly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. His gaze swept over Xiaoyan's group before pausing on old Mu Jiyu. After which, he faintly said, "The old me is the first elder of the Pill Tower, Chu Ling. I will be leading all of you into the star region this time around. Remember, all you need to do is follow me after entering. The old me has the right to revoke the right of anyone who does not follow the rules." Xiaoyan and the others slightly nodded upon hearing his words. He clearly understood in his heart that First Elder Chu Ling was leading them because Zhang Kongzi's group was worried about old Mu Jiyu. The corner of old Mu Gu's mouth moved under the focus of Chu Ling. Immediately, he withdrew his hands under his sleeves. His expression was indifferent. While the few of them spoke, the fluctuating spatial door had fully stabilized. "Let's go." Chu Ling exchanged glances with Zhang Kongzi's group upon seeing this. After which, he slightly nodded. Chu Ling waved his hand and took the lead to step into the spatial door before disappearing in the blink of an eye. Xiaoyan and the others hurriedly followed. Numerous figures continuously disappeared into this fluctuating space. Within less than a minute, 11 people had disappeared in front of a countless number of gazes. When the last person entered the spatial door, the sternness on Zhang Kongzi's face was slightly reduced slightly. His eyes looked down from above before he commanded in a deep voice, "Pay more attention today. Do not allow any trouble to occur. The experts from the Pill Tower have been arranged by us in to be in Holy Pill City. They are awaiting orders. If any unexpected changes occur, they will immediately come and lend a hand." Tian Lei nodded as he replied, "There are still some experts that have good relationships with the Pill Tower currently in Holy Pill City. I will dispatch someone to inform them to help us keep an eye on things." Zan Yi softly informed them. Zhang Kongzi only nodded upon hearing her words. His eyes looked at the large spatial door and sighed. Hopefully everything will be smooth. The empty space suddenly fluctuated. Immediately, 10+ figures slowly appeared. Xiaoyan immediately felt a hot vapor rushing to him when he appeared. At the same time, the glazed lotus heart flame within his body suddenly became hot at this moment. This kind of situation caused his heart to beat faster. It was a situation that only occurred when he met other heavenly flames. This place is indeed where the 3000 burning flame is located. Xiaoyan softly muttered to himself within his heart. His eyes suddenly glanced at old Mu Jiyu only to see that his eyes also had a heated expression. Clearly, the sea heart flame within his body had also sensed this change. Xiaoyan swiftly shifted his gaze from old Mu Jiyu and began to observe this so-called star region. Due to him having anxiously rushed in last time, he did not have much time to pay attention. The so-called star region was a space that had been forcefully torn open by the 3 giant heads of the Pill Tower. This kind of space was naturally unable to compare with the Pill Realm or the Jiyu Realm since those were unique places. Moreover, the star region appeared quite desolate. The faint hot fog that permeated around the region released a somewhat weak light that seeped into this space, causing the light here to appear quite cool. Xiaoyan's hand randomly grabbed at the weak light. The area that his hand came into contact with was ice cold. His eyes narrowed. "This is the light of the stars?" This star region is not able to prevent the strength of the stars from seeping through it. However, daytime is when the strength of the stars is at its weakest. Therefore, we can only choose to enter at this time. The first elder called Chu Ling explained in a faint voice at this moment. Xiaoyan and the others came to a sudden understanding upon hearing this. The 3000 burning flame was said to be the fire of the stars. It was born from agglomerating the strength of the stars. As long as there were enough stars, it would never die. There was seldom any time that the strength of the stars completely disappeared from the world because the strength of the stars existed even during the day. However, it was just comparatively weaker. Follow me. Don't get lost. This star region exists within the spatial tear. There are some places within it that are connected to the void. If you end up barging in, all of you should understand the results. Chu Ling waved his hand. His body moved, and he swiftly rushed forward. Xiaoyan and the rest behind hurriedly followed. The size of the star region was unable to compare with the Pill Realm. However, that was relatively speaking. Based on Xiaoyan's guess, this place would likely not be smaller than the incomparably large Holy Pill City. They were unable to see any edges despite having flown for over 10 minutes. From this, it was possible to gain some clues as to its size. Although he was still unable to see their target despite flying for so long, Xiao Yan's group could clearly sense the surrounding temperature grow warmer. In the end, Song Qing and the rest had no choice but to summon their Do Qi in order to resist the grilling of the high temperature. This kind of temperature did not cause Xiao Yan any discomfort. He possessed the protection of a heavenly flame. Therefore, his ability to resist fire was far from what an ordinary person could compare with. The entire group swiftly flew through this empty space. This continued for around 10 more minutes. After the second 10 minutes had passed, everyone present, with the exception of Xiao Yan, First Elder, Old Mu Ji Yu, and Old Demon Qing Hua, had to use their powerful Do Qi to protect their bodies. The temperature of this place had already reached quite a high one. It seems that we are about to arrive. Xiao Yan glanced at the rest while he flew. A thought suddenly passed through his heart as his gaze shot into the distance in front of him. The glazed lotus heart flame within his body had suddenly churned at this moment. This was the first time in all these years that it had shown such a reaction. While Xiao Yan had sensed something, a glow was suddenly emitted on the face of Old Mu Ji Yu. Old Mu Ji Yu licked his lips. His face was filled with desire and greed. Although the other people had not sensed the heavenly flame, they were still able to sense the surrounding temperature's sudden increase. They understood in their hearts that they were about to arrive at their destination. While a caution had risen in everyone's hearts, a hot, intense glow suddenly appeared in the distant empty space. The intensity of the light appeared like a bright sun, causing one's eyes to involuntarily feel a piercing pain. We have arrived. All of you should be careful. Remember, if anyone does something out of line, the old me has the right to kill him here and now. The body of the leading Chu Ling suddenly paused for a moment. He turned his head and his sharp eyes swept over everyone. Finally, they landed on Old Mu Ji Yu as he coldly spoke. Only after saying these words did Chu Ling slow down and slowly drifted to the area in front of him. Xiao Yan and the others swiftly followed behind him. Upon their gradual approach to the cluster of glaring light, the being within the light clearly appeared within their sight. Gulp. The expressions of Xiao Yan's group became dull when they clearly saw the interior of the light. Their throats moved as they swallowed a mouthful of saliva with much difficulty. A completely shocked expression filled their eyes. There was an enormous dragon that stretched on endlessly within the light. The large dragon's eyes were shut. Its body was curled as it lay on the ground. Strange purple-black flames lingered all over its huge body. When the flames rose, the surrounding space distorted. The enormous dragon lay within this vast empty space. Purple-black flames continued to seep out of its body, burning tirelessly. This kind of spectacular scene caused one to feel a shock that was difficult to hide. Although Xiao Yan had already seen it once during his spiritual tour back then, he had only gotten a hurried glance. Only after having approached did he clearly sense just how frightening this ancient wonder was. Everyone appeared just like ants when standing in front of this large dragon. A feeling of being tiny rose within their hearts. Is this that 3,000 burning flame? A person's voice softly muttered amid the silence. Although the large dragon's eyes were shut, its rich dragon's might caused everyone's legs to have the impulse to tremble. This kind of size was really too shocking. Old Mu Ji Yu was also shocked by the size of the 3,000 burning flame for a moment. However, he was at the very least an elite Do Zun and a Tier 8 alchemist. His experience was extraordinary, hence, he managed to swiftly recover. The greed in his eyes became denser. After the first person opened his mouth to speak, the others gradually recovered from their shock. They looked at each other and quietly felt speechless. This thing was really a little too frightening. Xiao Yan looked at this large dragon in front of him. His palms suddenly became heated. At that moment, a thought passed through his mind and his eyes glanced over without leaving a trace. He discovered the dragon seal that Zi Yan had planted was beginning to show signs of heating up at this moment. Looks like what Zi Yan has said is true. A dragon seal has been also planted within the body of this 3,000 burning flame. A thought passed through Xiao Yan's heart when he sensed the change in the dragon seal. This is the 3,000 burning flame. However, it is currently being sealed. Next, all of you should step forward and try to see if you can use some gentle tactics to subdue it. Chu Ling spoke in a deep voice. Remember, use gentle tactics. Do not wake it from its slumber. Chu Ling's eyes were filled with a chill when he spoke. His gaze focused on Old Mu Ji Yu. From the looks of it, he was cautious and disliked Old Mu Ji Yu. Old Mu Gu merely gave a cold smile in the face of Chu Ling's eyes, but he did not say anything to refute the first elder. Chu Ling slowly withdrew his eyes when he saw Old Mu Gu's noncommittal response. After which, his eyes gently turned to Xiao Yan as he said, "Xiao Yan, you are the champion of this pill gathering. Therefore, you should be first." Everyone's eyes gathered on Xiao Yan after Chu Ling's words sounded. Xiao Yan's expression did not change in the face of these gazes. He hesitated for a moment before slightly nodding. After which, he inhaled a deep breath of air and slowly walked toward the large, slumbering dragon. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.